Cbc Evening News.
A very good evening to you. I'm Pearson Bowen. The Committee for the Rights of the Child is very concerned about the general trend of crime among young people. In fact, its chairman, Faith Marshall-Harris, says the committee spent much of its last meeting discussing the increasing levels of violence and the reasons for it. Ms. Marshall-Harris, a retired magistrate, spent a significant amount of time presiding over the juvenile court, and she says during that time she saw the first worrying signs beginning to develop, along with more parents tolerating those actions.
I don't know if it was stemmed from neglect or that parents for some reason saw nothing wrong and defended children despite what we would call violent behavior, thought that they seemed to be entitled. We had instances where parents felt that my child is being bullied either by the teacher or children, I am going to give him something to take to school to defend himself. We actually saw signs of that in the court, I would say some 8-9 years ago.
Ms. Marshall-Harris says the committee wants parents to be more aware of their responsibilities.
What we're asking parents to start looking at is the fact that whatever they do, whatever standards they set, whatever guidance they give, is what is going to condition the behaviors and the morals and so on of that generation, of the children they bring up. So they've got to be very, very cognizant of what they're passing on. And that is one of the things that we are really going to be trying to focus on.
Temporary teachers are a few steps closer to hearing when they'll be appointed within the public service. President of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Pedro Shepherd, is reporting that they've heard from the Personnel Administration Division on the issue, albeit 2 days after the Tuesday deadline had passed. He tells CBC News there were about 600 vacancies for permanent positions for teachers, but about 1,000 applied. Mr. Shepherd says the process of sorting the teachers into categories has to be done now.
The Personnel Administration Division responded to the Barbados Union of Teachers today. We would have sent them a letter yesterday. They responded today very quickly, and we appreciate the effort. And they did indicate that they are working feverishly on getting the appointments in place, looking at the number of persons appointed, getting the exact number to be appointed, and the intention is that they would appoint those persons in the shortest possible time. So we are satisfied with that effort, but we are meeting with our members tomorrow evening, the temporary persons, to update them on the current situation.
As Barbados deepens its relations with China, Barbadian businesses are being told to do away with the notion that the country is small and there's nothing it can offer to the Asian powerhouse. A half-day seminar was staged at the Grand Salle of the Central Bank today, designed for persons interested in China. On show were displays from local artists and the Embassy of the People's Republic of China. A number of representatives from the fields of trade and export, promotion, education and wellness all shared their experiences. Senior Business Development Officer at the Barbados Investment and Development Corporation, Paula Bourne, says there is vast potential in the Chinese market.
We need to step out and explore because China is ready and willing to engage us. And some of the products and services which we believe can be explored further include high value and high quality items and things that are uniquely Barbadian. And that includes rum and other specialty beverages, Sea Island cotton goods, if we can get our act together in that area. Music and cultural products, definitely. And English training, and certainly tourism and other areas of investment.
Barbados is seeing renewed interest in agriculture, especially among young people, since the resuscitation of AgroFest. This suggestion from coordinator of AgroFest, Theodore Fraser, to reporters following a meeting with exhibitors in Queen's Park ahead of the February 27th to March 1st showpiece.
What we found is that a number of persons have grown more interested in doing, for instance, home gardens. A number of young people have contacted us over the years in terms of, starting sheep farms and poultry farms, etc. And we've been there to provide that assistance and that push, point them in the right direction. They have the opportunity to come here, obviously, and meet with all the stakeholders all the main players that can give them the advice and, you know, technical encouragement that they would need to get into agriculture.
Mr. Fraser says exhibitors have faced several challenges over the years and they have worked to iron out as many difficulties as possible, including the setting up of the hundreds of booths on time.
We have a setup there that we expect all the vendors to have their tents in place by the Wednesday, that we can run all the utilities to those tents. So over the years, one or two of them have lagged a bit and, you know, would have caused some problems for the other exhibitors. So we're trying to encourage them as much as possible to set up on time. Those who are not in place by that time, they will have some repercussions, obviously.
If all goes as planned, more funds will soon be donated to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. That's according to Director of Sales and Marketing at the Uni Resorts, Alistair Brown. He was speaking during the Broadway to Barbados show at St. Peter's Bay, where many guests gathered to enjoy performances from some international artists. The event is now in its 30th year, and the theme this year is Return to Paradise. Mr. Brown says the aim of the show is to raise funds to help turn around the current economic situation at the hospital.
The bigger cause for us, of course, is the charitable trust of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. That's the real beneficiary of tonight. Over the last year, we've raised $750,000, much of it through the direction of Robert Bork, Jacob and Mikhail Hasid from Diamonds International, and of course people like ourselves. So that was really in aid of the intensive care side of the hospital. This year we've moved on to accident and emergency.
Societies will change, but respect and good manners must remain. This from former physical education teacher of the Lodge School, Mac Fingal. His comments were made at the Lodge School when he was presented with a recognition award for his contribution to the institution. Mr. Fingal says this current generation must practice good morals and values so that they will be passed on.
I want you to understand that I expect that things will change in the generations to come. Things will change with your clothing. Things will change with your dressing, in particular your music, your attitude, everything. Everything changes. We had our tight pants. You got your tight pants now. We had it before. We had our music. You got your music. All these things will change and they continue to change. But there are certain basics that must transcend generations. And these basics are manners, respect for authority, respect in general, discipline, integrity, all this type of thing must remain across the board.
More news after this break, but now time to become interactive with us tonight on this question. Do you believe AgroFest has rekindled the interest of young people in agriculture? Text yes or no to the short code 8111, the results at the end of the news.
Dear Clark, I've made a fascinating discovery, the institutional water cooler. Its gravitational pull sucks people from their workstations at the busiest times of day to stand around it and chat about emerging global trends like, will pink be in fashion next season? Meanwhile, the world slows to a stop as it waits in line to be served. I don't see that trend at Globe Finance.
Globe Finance. Think outside the bank.
When it comes to their financial service, slow is out, swift is in.
You've heard about the CBTF, right? The competency-based training fund where employers and trainers in any sector can receive funding to train employees.
CBTF training is about being competent. So it's not only knowing, it's doing.
You are now going to be certified as an entrepreneur in your own right. Get the entrepreneurs in the skill bracket that they have a qualification that they can use.
Find out how by logging on to cbtf.com.bb for more details or calling 227-9090. Imagine your business better, more competitive, more efficient with an employee training grant from the CBTF, the Competency-Based Training Fund, investing in skills for the future.
Teaching is a profession of love and care, and in education, all people are important. That's why Minister of Education Ronald Jones believes children should get the best they can out of the education system. He suggests there is no need for the fractious behavior. To emphasize this point, he spoke of a scenario where a single parent wants her child to succeed in areas she didn't.
If the teachers are not in their classrooms, she will be frustrated. She will not be able to live the dream through her children's education. She can't. And therefore, she sees dismay and a dismal future. Teachers cannot or should not allow those who teach and those who interact with them to see a dismal future.
Mr. Jones was speaking at the launch of the Education Sector Enhancement Project, a program he endorses.
We have to constantly look at our curricula. We have to examine the pedagogy. We have to ensure that there is mastery of our subject matter. Important. But there's also mastery of how we interact with each child in that classroom. Each child as an individual in that classroom.
An effort to get Barbadians to eat more eggs has now mushroomed into something even bigger. Lisa Broom tells us Bellevue House was the location for our next story.
Over the weekend, foodies were treated to a special event, a chef's table, a demonstration of mouth-watering eats and drinks from outstanding local chefs and mixologists. And come March, viewers of CBC's MCTV will have the chance to see these local chefs and others put their skills on display for Barbados and the rest of the world on the new Caribbean Cooking Channel. It's the brainchild of Darren Holder, who also conceptualized the hugely popular Eggonomics and other spin-off cooking and drink mixing shows.
You have Food Network and you have Cooking Channel, which I believe are channels on MCTV already. They don't really show anything Caribbean at all. You hardly get a Caribbean show on there. And since I'm in the Caribbean and I've been doing cooking shows for the last 5 years, and I would have gathered a lot of footage over the last 5 years, it's a no-brainer for me to put it together to create the Caribbean Cooking Channel.
The channel, according to Mr. Holder, will be 24-hour and will broadcast in HD quality, a combination of cooking shows and special features.
I have Eggonomics that I've been doing for 5 seasons. I have In the Mix, which is a popular mixology show, and then I also have 5-minute meals. I would have done a series called Master Mixer, which was a mixology competition where they selected the top mixologists to represent Barbados, among some other shows that I would have. I also did a feature on Cuz, who sells fish up by the Hilton. And I have other features of restaurants.
He says viewers will not only be fed a diet of local chefs. A team is currently working on a show called Caribbean Foodie, which will feature food hotspots across the region. And they're sourcing content from Jamaica and Antigua as well. Now, all this increased work means the possibility of more jobs.
It was a 24-hour job, basically, just doing it for Channel 8. That does take out so much of my time. So now that we're going to be doing it on a wider scale as a channel, we're going to obviously need more people, like hosts, people to host the shows. So you would know Charlene for Eggonomics, who's been with me for a long time. But now doing other shows, we're going to need other hosts, because as I said, Caribbean Foodie, we're going to be working with other chefs. We're going to need more makeup people, because I can't go everywhere. So I'm going to need to be in a position, I'm currently training people to see what I do, so that I can send a crew to St. Lucia and I don't have to go.
And Chief MCTV Officer Andrew Green says the cooking channel is the perfect fit for CBC.
Essentially what we believe we're doing is assisting in the building of an industry that will enable us in a few years to also, in essence, get some of that money that we've put in out for content. We put out millions of dollars for the purchase of content each year. What I want to do is to be in a position to see that some of that content that Darren and others will have is bought by some of the international networks.
So stay tuned to TV8 for more details on the Caribbean Cooking Channel, coming in March on MCTV's Channel 117. I'll definitely be watching. You should too.
Well, still to come, a look at stories from across this region. First, a reminder, we'd like to hear from you on the question: do you believe AgroFest has rekindled the interest of young people in agriculture? Text yes or no to the short code 8111. Results are coming up at the end